Hello and welcome to another episode of Ctrl Alt Defend. My name is Dirk Prinsloo. Today is going to be a continuation of our last session where we talked about Entra Suite, and as I promised, we're going to do some demos. Before we get into the demo, what we're going to be looking at is just a bit of context in terms of what Microsoft Entra Suite consists of. So on the screen, what we're looking at is the 5 key products that makes up Microsoft Entra Suite. That is, from the left-hand side, Entra Private Access, Entra Internet Access, Identity Governance, Identity Protection, as well as Verified ID. So these 5 key products make up the Microsoft Entra Suite. If we take a closer look at the architectural view, as I call it, of Entra Suite, we can see that our demo is more or less going to be focusing towards the left-hand side. So we're going to be taking a closer look to the employee onboarding experience, which is also part of our other demos, but we're also going to be taking a look today at guest onboarding, which is very important because we all work with partner organizations and we often provide or are required to provide access to those partners. So we're going to take a closer look in terms of how we can make use of identity governance alongside verified ID to make that process a bit more streamlined. All right, so without further ado, let me bring up our demo environment. So what we see here is Entra, and what we're going to first do is we're going to configure or confirm some things in verified ID. So on the left hand side here, we're going to go to Overview, and we're going to see if there are any specific configuration required from us. It's very easy. We're going to click on Get Started to just quickly set up some of the basics or baseline capabilities of verified ID, and that's pretty much it. What we get is a verified employee ID here. Now this card kind of thing that we see on the left hand side here, this kind of supposed to mimic a physical access card, right? Remember, this is going to be a verified identification that we could use internal and external. So we might want to change a few things here. So I'm going to click on View Details, and we can see the information about the card, that it is being issued to Contoso. And what we are going to be doing is we also want to look at some of the claims. Now, the claims are pretty much like properties or attributes of a identity. Now, these are the typical claims that are present in a default verified ID credentials. And what we can see here is we want to make sure that users can make use of this credential. So what we are going to do is we're going to click on Issue this credential. And we can clearly see here that the scope is to allow all Microsoft Entra ID users to make use of this. And we have the tick box ticked here to say, you know, we're going to issue those credentials. So everything kind of basic setup, but we do want to make some changes. I don't like this black kind of, because we want to make it a bit more brand aware, right? So issue a bit of our own brand here, because this card is going to be visible everywhere we go. So we're going to go and edit the style, and let's change the logo and the color attributes of this particular card or verified ID. So I'm going to make some changes here, and I'm going to click on Update, and yeah, okay, we got a nice little light green going on here. So that's what we're going to stick with. So for now, we're going to go and save this information, and we see the change being made right over here. The next thing that we want to do is we want to make people be able to use this verified ID. I'm going to go to Identity Governance, and I'm going to click on Entitlement Management. Now, you'll see me do another demo a bit more in-depth on this particular point, but this is where we can assign certain identity governance principles, for example, access, right? So in this case, we are going to be doing some configuration in terms of what kind of access packages and, you know, what can we do with that. But before we do that, I want to go and view connected organizations. And we can see here the administrator has already set up 2 external organizations to Contoso. We have Woodgrove and we have Trey Research. So in our demonstration, we're going to be making use of Woodgrove. So bear with me. So Woodgrove is an external partner, and Contoso is, you know, the organization that we work with. So if I go into Woodgrove, we can see that this is one of those organizations that has already been set up. And I can also click on sponsors. Now, sponsors, we have internal and external sponsors. Internal sponsors, obviously an employee inside of Contoso who's able to sponsor or make or allow people to make use of this verified ID. And also we have external sponsors. Now, external sponsors is typically the Woodgrove person that has already a guest account within our tenant that we are now making that sponsor or that external sponsor. So Alan here is, you'll see the username Alan D at Contoso24.com. However, Alan is very much an external party, a guest user in our tenant. All right, so let's go one back and let's go take a look at what can be done from an access package perspective. So under identity governance, I'm going to click on access packages. And we can see there are some access packages already configured. But what our objective in this demo is, we want to make certain things available for somebody from Woodgrove, right? So we want to assign them some permissions that they can use when they sign in using their Woodgrove credentials. So what we're going to do, we have some finance resources for guest users, right? So we're going to click on that to see what kind of things we've got access to. So that you'll find under resource roles. So resource roles specify what kind of access is contained in this access package. So what we see here is there are 3 items. We have a group, right? So a finance group. We also have an internal published application called Contoso Financial Dashboard. Keep that in mind for our next demo. And we also have a standard SharePoint site, right, called the Perspective. And you'll also notice on the right-hand side, there are different roles being assigned. So for example, under the Perspective, we're only going to assign an external person visiting rights to this site, right? Read-only access to this particular site. We don't want them to make changes. They don't allow any kind of membership to that site, but they can view, right? Then we also have under an access package, we have policies. Now a policy is associated with this access package, of course, and it defines the rules such as the duration in terms of how long that access package will be valid for, or other conditions that might be applicable in this particular access package. If I click on this policy, you'll see some of the information and details here at the bottom. I can go and make a change to this, which I do. So I'm going to make a change to this policy because at the moment I want to make sure that the only way that people from Woodgrove can access this access package or request access or be given access to all those things is they have to provide their own verified ID, right? So I'm going to click on the requests tab here and you'll notice that most of this is already completed. However, here at the bottom, I don't necessarily have that verification or that requirement to have verified ID. So I'm going to add that so that we're going to make sure that, and I'm going to search for Woodgrove here. And I'm going to select Woodgrove. And we're going to make sure that people can only access our stuff if they have a verified ID from Woodgrove, right? Does it make sense? Right, there's our claims, right? So we're going to click on add, and that's now all been set here at the bottom. So we should be good to go, right? So I'm going to go next. You can also add additional questions, right? So apart from just applying the verified or providing the verified ID from Woodgrove, you can also have certain security questions for them to answer. I'm not going to go there. You know, you can, but I'm not. Then we're going to go next to lifecycle. This is where we see how long this access package is or can be valid for. In our case, we can see it's valid for a year. And there's also, interesting, some access reviews configured, right? So we'll take a closer look of that in our second demo. But this one, it basically just says every quarter the access will be reviewed by someone, right? Well, like I said, we'll get into that in a second in our next demo. I'm going to go update this particular policy. And that's basically the administrative portion set up, right? So just to recap what we've done, we enabled verified ID in our own tenant. We made some changes to the way it looks. And then we've also looked at Woodgrove as an external partner. And we then went to the access package to confirm and enable that they have to provide their verified ID before they can access that. All right. So now let's take a closer look at what the user experience is like, right? So this was the admin view. Let's take a closer look, right? So let's go to the employee experience. So what's going to happen here, we have Adam signed in, and Adam is an employee of Contoso. So we'll take a look at the internal user experience before we get to the guest portion. So Adam here is going to click on Contoso support. He's probably got a problem with his printer, all right, usually. And we have this custom application here that requires Adam to first have a Contoso verified ID. right? He has to prove that before he can get the contact details of the actual support or in this application. So here we see we've got a link here that says, hey, you need your verified ID. If you don't have one, click on that. So we're going to click on that, and we're going to see that it takes us to our My Account site. And here we're able to go and get my verified ID. So Adam clicks on Get My Verified ID. And what's happened is a QR code gets displayed to Adam, right? So what Adam now needs to do, he needs to scan that, of course, using his Authenticator app. So he opens his phone, click on Authenticator, and he's going to go to Verified IDs. Doesn't have any, right? So we need to fix that. So he's going to click on Scan the QR code. He's now scanning that QR code that gets displayed, and we can now add Adam's verified ID into his wallet. All right, so now it's all set up. So Adam can go back here to the Contoso Help Desk application and say, I have my card. Right? To make use of this card, now I need to scan another QR code in this case, but this is to provide or make use of that card that's in my wallet. So what's going to happen again, Alan's going to take his camera out this time, and he's going to take a photo of that QR code, and he's going to open the Authenticator app and say, hey, there's my card. I want to present that. So I'm going to go next. And interesting, face check comes up. Now, face check, not to be confused with facial recognition. Face check is part of verified ID that matches a kind of a selfie camera photo against your profile photo that's stored in Entra ID, either in Entra ID or perhaps in an external HR system. But we were able to do a kind of a face check verification here. So we're going to click on Start, and yeah, it's not me, but okay, you get the point. Right, so Adam scans his face there, and he's going to see that the verification is complete here, and he can now return to the previous application. And now that verified ID or credentials has been passed along to the application, and hey presto, Adam can now access the help desk and to fix his printer or whatever. But let's take a look at the external user. So you remember we set up Woodgrove as an external partner, and we ensured that they must provide their verified ID if they want to gain access. So we're going to go and start here. Now, in this case, this is Isaiah, and Isaiah works for Woodgrove, as we can see here in the top right left-hand corner. So Isaiah is going to click on the workspace because that's the link that's been provided to him. He clicks on that, and multi-factor authentication pops up. So fantastic. So Isaiah already guessed. So he's going to fire up his Authenticator app and click on it. But oh dear, he's still not given permission. And the reason for that is the authentication happened, but after authentication, it was noted that Isaiah still doesn't have access to that SharePoint site. So Isaiah returns to the email and says, oh, okay, there's another message here. If that doesn't work, I need to click on this. So Isaiah clicks on that link, and it takes him to his My Access page in Contoso's tenant, right? Make sense? In Contoso's tenant. So in this case, it says here, to request access to the package, you may need to present your verified ID, right? So Isaiah's going to click there, and he now needs to present his verified ID. So you're going to click on Continue. And Isaiah this time is presented with a QR code. Again, Isaiah is going to take out his phone, and he's going to scan that, open Authenticator app. And remember, Isaiah already has his Woodgrove verified ID, so he is going to share that with the My Access in Contoso. And only then does it say verification of that credential has been successful. Because of that change we made in the policy that says before you can have access to this resources, you need to present your own verified ID, which is what Isaiah have just done. All right. So in our case, we're going to go and click Submit. And now what's supposed to happen in the backend is those three things. Remember the group, the custom application, as well as that SharePoint site must have now been granted access because that's what was configured in the access package. We can actually just confirm that by clicking on Request History, and we can see that that access package has in fact been delivered to Isaiah. So Isaiah is going to go back, and he's going to refresh the page, and hey presto, Isaiah has access, right? So what we've done is we've made sure that Woodgrove, our trusted partner, can only access our resources if they present a verified ID from Woodgrove. That was what we did in the policy, and that's what we saw here happening. Thank you very much for watching. Keep an eye out. I'll post a link into the second demo here. We'll see it up top here. And remember to subscribe to our channel. Take care now. Bye-bye then.